An elephant walks 12 miles. Not for food, not for water. She is walking toward a body. And when she gets there, she does not eat, she does not drink. She stands over the corpse of another elephant, and she does not leave for 2 days. Humans have spent a very long time assuming that grief is ours, that understanding death, mourning it, ritualizing it, is the one thing that separates us from everything else crawling, swimming, or stomping around this planet. Today, we are finding out that assumption is wrong. Spectacularly, uncomfortably wrong. Let's get into what animals actually do when something dies. We start with the animal that does this better than anyone else. Elephants do not just notice death. They investigate it in detail for hours, sometimes for days. Researcher Dr. Joyce Poole has spent over 40 years studying elephant behavior and has documented more than 30 distinct behaviors elephants display specifically around their dead. Touching the body with their trunks, standing guard over it, covering it with branches and soil, returning to the same spot, repeatedly, sometimes years later, just to stand there. In Kenya, when the matriarch of a family known as the First Ladies died, researchers filmed what happened next. 3 separate elephant families, none of them closely related to her, arrived and spent hours investigating the body, touching it, smelling it, standing near it in what researchers described as visible distress. These were not her relatives. And then there is Lawrence Anthony, conservationist, nicknamed the Elephant Whisperer, who rehabilitated a herd of wild elephants in South Africa. When Anthony died in 2012, that herd, without any human prompting, walked over 12 miles to his home and stood there for 2 days. Nobody led them there. Nobody told them what had happened. They simply showed up. Now to our closest relatives, who handled death in a way that is frankly difficult to watch. When a chimpanzee infant dies, the mother often does not let go. Not for hours, not for days. In multiple documented cases across different chimpanzee communities, mothers have carried their dead infants for weeks. In one case, for an entire month, grooming the body the whole time, even as it mummified. Researchers have spent years trying to explain this. The early theory was simple. The mothers just don't understand the infant is dead. But a 2020 study, published in Royal Society Open Science, tested this directly, and the evidence didn't support it. A mother's behavior changed. They moved differently. They stopped engaging socially the way they normally would. Something had clearly registered. They knew. This is not unique to chimpanzees either. The same dead infant carrying behavior has been documented in bonobos, gorillas, baboons, macaques, and several species of monkey. One particularly disturbing detail: in dry climates, some primate corpses naturally mummify rather than decompose. And in those conditions, mothers have been documented carrying the mummified remains of their infants for even longer. The body stays recognizable. The mother stays attached. And then there is Tahlequah. In 2018, an orca known to researchers as J35 gave birth off the coast of the Pacific Northwest. The calf died within half an hour. Most orca mothers in this situation will let the calf go within a day or two. Tahlequah carried her dead calf on her head for 17 days. Over 1,600 kilometers through open ocean, repeatedly pushing the body back up to the surface every time it began to sink. This made international news. People who had never thought twice about marine mammal cognition were suddenly watching footage of an animal performing what looked unmistakably like a funeral procession that refused to end. The same orca was later observed carrying another dead calf years afterward. Researchers studying orcapods describe this kind of extended carrying behavior as something that tends to occur in species that rely heavily on long-term social bonds and cooperative care, which orcas absolutely do. Losing a calf for them may not register as a single event you simply move past. Crows take this further, just louder. When a crow finds a dead crow, it doesn't quietly investigate. It calls loudly. And that call brings in other crows from the area, sometimes dozens of them, gathering around the body in what researchers have literally named a cacophonous aggregation. It looks chaotic and a little unsettling, but scientists studying it believe it functions as a form of communal threat assessment. The group collectively trying to work out what killed one of their own, so the same thing doesn't happen to the rest of them. Western scrub jays studied at UC Davis showed nearly identical behavior, gathering and alarm calling around their dead before dispersing. Researchers labeled it, in their actual published paper title, a funeral. Make of that what you will. So what have we actually learned? That elephants travel miles to grieve animals they barely knew. That chimpanzee mothers carry their dead for weeks because some part of them has not, or cannot, let go. That an orca swam over 1,000 kilometers, refusing to accept what had happened. Humans have spent centuries assuming grief was the line that separated us from the rest of the animal kingdom. Turns out that line was never really there. We just liked believing it was. Subscribe to the channel or become a member on YouTube for more proof that we have drastically underestimated almost everything that isn't us.